Welcome to a Millennial's Guide to Real Estate Investing. Here is your host, Antoine Martel.
Hello and welcome to another podcast. I am Antoine Martel and this is Real Estate Investing with Antoine Martel. So this episode is going to be about how to build your team in a market out of state. So a lot of people in California eventually realize that investing in California or anywhere on the coast, in a very expensive market, it becomes impossible to invest here. I'm in Los Angeles and it's impossible to invest in anything unless you have $1 million in cash ready to go to invest in one deal, put all your eggs in one basket, and hope to make a 5% return. And sure, maybe you can make that return in 6 months when doing a quick rehab or whatever it may be. So annualized return is 10% of $1 million, so that's a pretty good return. But again, I think that investing out of state is the way to go if you have $1 million, even if you have $1 million in cash. The amount of single family homes and multifamilies that you can buy with even just all cash, forget about using debt, and you don't have to worry about talking to any banks or anything like that. You can just take your $1 million in cash and invest it out of state for cash flow and never work again. So that's why building a team in your market, in a market out of state is important. And the team that you build is going to be your most important asset. It's way more important than any of the deals you find or anything like that. These teams that you set up on the ground are your gold. So typically how I explain it to people is that the hardest part of investing out of state is just building your team. It took me 3 months to build my first team, to get them all dialed in, and then the deals just come in. There's always ways to get deals, always ways to find buyers and sellers and all that kind of stuff. That's just marketing. But finding your team is a skill, and it takes a lot of hard work to get that team going and to set them up in the right way so that you can do 10, 20 deals a month eventually, and that's what your goal should be. So the most important group of people in your team out of state is going to be your property management company. And many people ask me, how do you find a good property management company? How do you know that they're good? And all this kind of stuff. So the way that I found my first property management company and the way that I built my first team was I just called as many as I possibly could. So type in the city that you're interested in investing in and then type property management after it. Fort Worth property management, Austin property management. Look up, just go through Google, open up new tabs for each of them and just call them. Explain who you are, what you want to do, how many deals you want to do, what kind of deals you're looking for, what kind of neighborhoods you're looking for, as much as you possibly can, and just have it written out beforehand once you call these companies. And explain to them again what you're going to do and that you want to build a long-term relationship with them, etc. The kinds of property management companies that you want to look for are typically smaller companies. That's who I tend to work with and who I tend to like. You want to be talking to the broker owners typically, or the owners of these property management companies. These are the people who are going to hustle for you. They're going to put the right people in place if they don't have them. They're going to have the resources. They're not going to have much time, so they're going to really help scale and create a system for your business when you're investing out of state. So first step is just to call as many of them as you can and have a huge amount of information about what you're looking for, how many deals you're looking to do, how much money you have available, etc. And then also at the end of that, have some questions for them. So go and look at what kind of characteristics you look for in a property management company. You want to ask them what their fees are. You want to ask them how they run their business, how many properties they manage, how many employees they have, how many people are on the payroll. And again, typically I like to find some smaller companies where there's an owner who you can talk directly with who actually picks up the phone to you. And then typically they have a couple property management property managers. And the benefits of working with these smaller property management companies is not only can you contact directly the owner, who's going to be a real hustler, but you can also talk to the people who manage the properties as well. So with these huge, large property management companies is what I found is that a lot of their clients just get lost in the shuffle. So they'll own a bunch of different properties with these property management companies, but they'll never be able to talk to the person who went and walked their property who went and took photos or dealt with a client or sent out the maintenance request and all this kind of stuff. It just doesn't work like that because they manage 2,000-3,000 properties. And it's impossible for them to, kind of have a direct relationship from A to B with a tenant on that. So there's all these different intermediary people. I don't like that. I like to be more hands-on. Not more hands-on, but I like to talk with the person who went and walked my property if something were to come up. The other benefit of finding your property management company first is that they can normally refer you to other people who you need on your team. So your team is going to consist of property management, realtors, rehab crew, inspectors, etc. And typically these property management companies have realtors either within their company or they have another company who they work with who is like some sort of realtors or brokerage. So they can refer you to these other people on these other teams. They typically have rehab crews who are either, whether these rehab crews are doing maintenance on their deals or when something does come up with their properties that they're currently managing, typically they have rehab crews for certain things. So they'll have roofers, they'll have plumbers, they'll have HVAC people, all this kind of stuff ready to go, kind of on speed dial. So it helps you because if you want to invest out of state and you want to buy some rehab properties, then you can ask this property management company, hey, do you have a rehab crew who I can use? Hey, do you have a blah, blah, blah? And they're going to help you get that property ready to go so that they can rent it out so that they can have your business and have that property under management now. So the other very important thing about property management companies is that they have a huge amount of data and like a huge aggregate of data. Typically they manage, let's say they manage 200 to 500 homes. They know the rents. They know those properties' addresses. They know what kind of clients they have. They know how long it took for those properties to rent out. They know that if they take professional photos, it changes the rental time from this to this. So they have a large amount of data and they know the neighborhoods where you should be looking because they can see, okay, over here in this neighborhood, we do this and the property rents out within 2 weeks. In this neighborhood, though, rents have increased this much and people are renting out homes in 2 days instead of 2 weeks. So maybe that's a neighborhood you want to look at. And typically these property management companies, if they're looking at their data, they can see where you should be investing and where you should be buying your investment properties. So huge amount of information, great resource, property management company. Kind of think about it as the center of your hub for your team out of state. All right. Now the second most important person on your team is typically the rehab crew. The rehab crew is, again, gonna make or break your deals. If you do a bad rehab, that can totally ruin everything. It's also gonna piss off the property management company and everybody else involved. It's also gonna really drive up your costs. So you don't necessarily want to choose the cheapest rehab crew. You might want to pay a little bit extra just to get it done and get it done right, and maybe to get everything done. So the way that I've found my rehab crews in the past is you can search them by searching online, but it's best to get a referral instead. So what I mean by that is, again, if you find your property management company first, you can ask them for a referral for a contract crew that they like. Then when you find a deal, you can have your property management go to the property with that rehab crew that they like to work with because they're friends or whatever it may be, and they've done deals together before. The rehab crew will draw up a bid. The property management company will send you that bid and say, hey, we think you should buy this house for $20,000. We can have our buddy here, the rehab crew, rehab it for $20,000. So you're all in for $40,000 and we can rent it out for $600, $700 a month. So it's going to be a great investment, etc. And then throughout the whole life cycle of the deal, the property management company and the rehab crew are just kind of co-mingling and working together. You're not involved in their relationship. They're already friends. And you can kind of just walk into their relationship instead of you building relationships from thousands of miles away. It just helps prevent future conflict. Imagine if you find a property management company and then you go and find some rehab crew that the property management company's never worked with. You're forcing a relationship to happen from thousands of miles away. And what if that relationship doesn't work? What if the property management company hates that rehab crew and hates the guy and hates his work and all this kind of stuff and doesn't do what he says? It's just going to create a bad relationship, and typically people will just walk away and just won't do a deal again. But if they have a good experience, they're going to come back and want more, and their property management's going to do more for you so that you can do more deals. The third portion of the team would be your realtors. So these people are going to help you find new properties to invest in. If you want to ever sell your homes on the market, let's say you want to flip a home, they can also list them for you. Realtors are really good for setting searches in certain neighborhoods. They also do have a lot of information about neighborhoods and where's the best place to invest. So realtors are great to have on your team, and you're going to need them. They're going to help you be placing offers on new listings. They'll get access to listings before they even get on the market. So they're very important to have, and it's very important to build a good relationship with them. The way that I found some of my good realtors were just doing all my research up front for a certain city and then certain neighborhoods in that city. And then I would set searches on Redfin. So I like this neighborhood. I set a search around there and just watch the new deals come up that needed rehab or whatever. And then I would call listing agents, and I would call those listing agents and I would say, hey, my name's Antoine Martel. I work for, I have a business. It's Martel Turnkey. We buy houses, rehab them, rent them out, put a property management company in place. We're already working with X property management company, but we need more deals, and we have a rehab crew in place. We just need your help to find more deals. I saw your listing and I'm interested in learning more. Okay. It shows that you're already set up. You already have all the systems in place. The only thing you need from them is just more deals. And this deal is one that makes sense, and you're ready to go and you have cash ready to go. So call them and ask them about their home. Ask them how much they think the rehab bid would be. Ask them about the neighborhood. You can also ask them what rehab crews they like. You can ask them about the property management company that you're using, the rehab crew you're using. You can kind of vet all of these different sections of your business against each other, to see if they like each other, if they have a good working relationship, if they have any sort of relationship, in working together. Because sometimes the realtor may be the person you find first on your team out of state, and you want them to be your hub, which I've done as well. And then that hub will introduce you to a good property management company who can then introduce you to a rehab crew, or the realtor has a rehab crew that they like working with, etc. The other very cool thing about realtors is that they also could be great not general contractors, but they can manage your rehab projects pretty well, and they'll also just take a fee. So you can pay them sometimes, $750, $500 to manage your rehab project throughout the life of it. And they can go in and check on your house and make sure that it's going well. And you can pay them a fee to manage that for you. Property management company may do that, but really realtors are the ones who like to get paid on commissions, and will take those commissions to manage your projects. So with that, those are really the three main elements that you really want to have to build your team out of state. Just some key points again to really think about when you're going out there. It takes time. So it's going to take you a couple months to find your team. Don't rush it. You want to find somebody who you really enjoy working with. And sometimes you'll find entire cities that just don't make sense, and you just haven't found the right team, or the right people in place. And sometimes you'll find people on the ground and they don't reply within 24 hours. Then I typically just cut those people out. I want people who are going to respond very quickly. I want people who are young and hungry and want to grow their business, and I can help them grow their business, because I'm going to come in and pitch this thing about I'm going to do a deal a month with you guys. Just help me get set up in this way, whatever the way that is for you. And you want to just create your system in a way where you only have one point of contact on the ground. You want to have a system where you either have that property management company, so the owner of that property management company, or the realtor just as your main point of contact, and everything funnels through that person. And if they funnel through the realtor, then you pay them a fee for doing so. If it's through the property management company, then maybe you figure out something else to work out with them. But you want to just have one point of contact, because if you ever, expand to more cities, you want to make sure that you just have, if you're in 5 different cities, you want to have 5 points of contact, not 5 points of contact in each city. So you have, 25 people you have to always be emailing and contacting. You want to have it's better to have it. And the way I have it is I just have one point of contact who really runs the whole show, and pay them accordingly, pay them well, give them some skin in the game. And if your deals, if you don't have money to pay them yet, just make sure that they're happy, because if they stop working for you, it's going to create a lot more work for you in the long run. Something else that comes up sometimes is a lot of investors who try to do this investing out of state is they get really involved in the rehab process, especially with buy and hold properties. They get really involved in the process. What kind of paint should I use? All these tiny little things like that don't really matter. They just get involved way too heavily into these deals. And I like to kind of just let go of those things and just focus on the numbers and focus on getting deals done. The rehab crew that I work with typically in all my cities is kind of just uses the same coat of paint, uses the same blah, 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 uses the same everything for everything. Same flooring, same tile, same cabinetry if they need to replace it, same toilets if they need to replace it, etc. It makes their job way more easy and makes their life way more easy. So let their lives be easy. Don't come in and request different colors of paint than they're used to. Don't come in and request certain things. Of course, if you really think that it's going to help for some reason, then maybe bring it up with your property management company and ask them, hey, what do you think if we do this? Do you think I can get higher rent? But just make sure that you're doing things that will help your business and help grow your business and grow your cash flow. Don't do things just because you think they're cute or fun. Remember, this is a business and it's not emotional. You need to remove that emotion, and getting too involved into these deals and tiny little details of the rehab project is just not what you want to do, and that's not how you're going to grow and scale your business. And something else too is what you can do is kind of just let the property manager who's going to rent out your home kind of work with the rehab crew to make sure the deal gets done in the right way. So what I mean by that is, let's say you buy a house and you have somebody from the property management company managing that rehab. Just tell the property manager, hey, just do what you need to do to get this home rented out for the maximum amount possible, with spending the least amount of money. And if they can hit that target, and maybe, the first couple of deals, they're going to need some massaging. But your goal is to spend the least amount of money to get the highest amount of rents. That's what your goal always should be. So maybe they'll do some little creative things. And that's good. That's good that they'll be creative in that sense, because it might help them rent out the property a little bit faster. But again, giving that control to the property management company who's going to rent your home out and manage your home, is very important. They'll also do things for the long term for your properties as well, because they're going to be managing, right? So they don't want to manage your rehab and do a shitty rehab job so that in 3 months they have to come back and fix the toilet or fix the plumbing. They want to get it done right the first time and have you pay for it up front, so they don't have to go and bother the tenant for that while they're on that 12 or 24 month lease. They don't want to deal with that. They just want to get the deal done the first time, do it right. So that's what I do a lot is my property management company is heavily involved in my rehab projects. I let them decide what needs to be done to the property with what's currently happening in that part of town, and let them run the rehab and make sure that they're happy with it so that they could rent it out for the most amount of money while spending the least amount of your cash. So I hope that was helpful. That was a quick 20-minute episode just about building your team out of state. I know I don't have a jingle yet, but I'm hired somebody to make a jingle for me. So that should be coming shortly, hopefully in some future episodes. I hope that was helpful. I know that was a ton of information. And this is the most important part of building any real estate investing business out of state. If you want to do rehabs, if you want to buy turnkey, it's much simpler. Just find a turnkey company, vet them heavily, make sure that they're incentivized to sell you properties for what they're worth, etc. make sure they're set up in the right way. But if you want to do rehab projects, the most important part of it and the most amount of work is just building that team and getting them dialed in. After that, deals come left and right. The MLS is always spewing off amazing deals for single family homes, etc. There's a plethora of plethora of deals out there. But if you have the right team in place, it makes things very simple. Again, hope that was helpful. Jingle coming soon. Let me know if you have any questions. Would love to answer those for you. You can ask me questions on my Instagram, martelantoine.com, my Twitter, martelantoine.com. Martelantoine.com. That's funny. Instagram, martelantoine. Twitter, martelantoine. Actually, my website is martelantoine.com. My email address is on my Instagram. You can go there, shoot me an email. It's Antoine@martelturnkey.com. If you have any, just title it podcast question. I can answer them in the podcast. I like to do a little segment at the end of each podcast where I could kind of answer some of your guys' questions, and maybe bring some people on too who have maybe done what you guys are interested in, and have some expert talk about your question and have them kind of answer it for me. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll chat soon.